So I think there has been a real culture shift in America, especially, and I think the internet culture as a whole too. And I think the shift is authenticity. I think we find authenticity to be really cool. I think we find people with a hint of corniness to be really cool. You know, it's kind of like salt on top of the food. It just makes it a little bit better, right? And the reason why I came to this conclusion is because I think I got a lot of evidence here. Not quite proof, but evidence. And if you listen to it, I think you might agree, right? My first evidence is YouTube here. If you think about like the big YouTubers that used to rake in a million, 10 million, 50 million, 100 million views per video, they've now shrunk. They shrunk to about 20% of what they used to be. Someone that used to make a million views per video now is making $200,000. And I think there's a clear explanation. I think it's we demand authenticity nowadays. Authenticity is in real high demand. And I'll tell you why that ties into the YouTube. So if you're a YouTuber that has 100 subscribers, or think about me, it has less than 50, it's it's very easy for me to keep my core audience happy. But then think about if you have a 50 million subscribers. Now it's all arithmetic, right? Everyone's just a statistic. No one's really a person anymore because you're trying to make your content as most digestible and as easy to consume to the the vast majority of your audience pool, right? Some of them, like if you have like 80% male and 20% female, you kind of want to make male directed content because that's what your audience is, and just that's just how the math is. And that's the cruelty of it, because everyone just turns into a statistic, everyone just turns into math, and you lose that authenticity by having more volume. So we see it in YouTube, but I think we also see it in culture, and I'll explain. I remember when I was in middle school, I wore a pair of Fila's, and I got roasted. I remember back then it was checks over stripes, all of that stuff. That was in high school. And now I see people wearing all sorts of style. You know, people dress however. I see guys wearing like heel like looking shoes and no one bats an eye. You know, no one's batting an eye. I don't really care, right? It's kind of crazy. We have this culture, and I think the people that are a little bit corny, a little bit, into themselves, I think they're the really coolest people, like people that have a little bit of edge, a little bit of salt, as I mentioned earlier. They just have a little bit of flavoring. It's kind of nice, I think it's kind of nice. I also think this leads to a problem, and this is kind of like the second half of this claim. We have this authenticity in high demand, but then people are realizing they don't really have personalities, they don't really have hobbies. And I've discussed this with my friends before, and like 50 videos prior, I think I had a video saying that I had a discussion with my friends that they don't have any hobbies, and we had an argument about it. But anyways, I think people are realizing they don't really have a personality, they don't really have hobbies, they don't really have an identity, right? If someone were to ask you to describe yourself very briefly, what would you say? Like, would you say you play video games like everybody else? Would you say you watch movies like everyone else? Like, what makes you special, right? So a lot of people are not special, right? That's just the truth. Um, Maybe they are special in weird ways, but in this field, they are not special, right? They are like everyone else. And this creates this imposter kind of environment, right? The common word we see now on the internet is LARPing, right? This creates this LARPing, this imitation style environment where people act like they are more in the know almost. I don't want to say like part of a group or anything like that. They just want to act like they're part of the know. So, like for example, like I'll talk about like a video game. Maybe we're talking about From Software games. These are like Dark Souls. They're hard games if you don't know about them. I'm sure everyone knows, but they're difficult games. And then you'll have someone that acts like they played them before, and when you quiz them, like they don't know anything, right? They saw it on Instagram Reels a few times, and they're going off that, right? That's what it is. No one does anything anymore. Everyone's just scrolling. Everyone has ridiculous number of screen time. Like both genders have their own problems too, that they lean towards, but everyone is just too consumed in life right now, and that's costing them a personality, that's costing them an identity. It's almost like they're not a person. When I talk to people and I ask them what do they like to do, it's very bland, it's very the same thing as everyone else. They really have no personality. And I think that is why we have this authenticity demand, because we want to see what authentic people are doing so that maybe we can get an idea to try to be more authentic. That's what it is. I mean, that's what it has to be. I mean, you can see it in the way culture has shifted. No one really cares what shoes you wear. No one really cares about design anymore. No one even cares about celebrities as much anymore because we know they're putting up a show. We don't want that. We want authenticity. And I apply that logic to my own channel here. If you scroll down, I probably have some kind of cringy, like I mentioned, AI generated thumbnails, and they weren't working right. They look kind of corny. So I just keep everything raw. Every like the thumbnail would just be a frame from the video that I don't even choose, right? And I just have my takes, and the people who want to stick around for this kind of content will. And I think this kind of content creation is it's going to be what strives because I can make this SEO and all of that things. I can polish everything up. I can probably create a better backdrop. I can dress really nice every video and I can sound more formal and everything. But that wouldn't be who I am, right? And you guys would know it. You guys would see through it immediately because we are humans. We know we can see through the BS, right? And that's why I create content like this. It's very raw, and I think the people who resonate will really like it because people want this kind of content, but they don't really know that they want it. It's kind of the Henry Ford thing. If I asked people what they wanted, they would tell you they wanted faster horses, something like that. But I think that's it. I don't have much more to say on this one. I do think there is a culture shift. I do think we need to address it, and it is a good thing. I think it's a very beautiful thing. But stay tuned, guys. We got over 60 videos now. I think we're closer to 70 now. We're posting a video a day for the next year. Thank you so much, guys.